So what I'm working on today is a little project for my wife, because I'm such a great husband. I went and I bought these horseshoes. You can get these from Tractor Supply or Rural King or any type of like farm store in your area. These are already pretty clean, so I'm just gonna go ahead and weld them. If you have a farmer or somebody near you that has these available, like I grew up in Idaho, these things are a dime a dozen used. I actually had to buy these. But get some from somebody else that's already been used. You might want to go ahead and clean off the places where you're going to weld, or maybe just go ahead and clean off the entire horseshoe before you end up painting it. I've gone ahead and made some marks here, and these marks are just 60 degrees apart here. Don't pay attention to this middle one. I only use this for getting a reference point. So I'm going to go ahead and start welding, and I guess just see if you can figure out what it is. It's fall time, so I guess that'll give you a clue. I'm going to be using my Millermatic 211 for this project. You can also use this piece of trash Harbor Freight Chicago electric welder. I built a lot of stuff with these welders. Haven't had one die on me yet, but I've done a lot of great things with them. This project can also be completed with one of these. When I bought this welder, it's about $89 from Harbor Freight. I think they're like $115 now, but they're certainly a good welder for this sort of project. Well, what do you think so far? This part of the top doesn't matter how nice it is. We're actually going to go ahead and put the finishing touch on it. Okay, so here's the finished product as far as being welded. We're going to go ahead and paint it up. For little pieces like this, like where we cut this piece off from the big horseshoe, I would recommend, if you're going to be doing a lot of this stuff, I would definitely hang on to those, because you can always use those for odds and ends for different projects. Alright, we'll go ahead and get this thing painted. Keep in mind, this is also going to be a little bit hot, so you probably don't want to just go start handling it with your bare hands. So the welding table I'm using, I got from Harbor Freight as well. You'll notice I covered up the welding table. I don't want to get any paint on the table itself because I want this to be conductive for welding. You'll notice earlier I just hooked the ground up to the table itself, and I was able to weld on this. So you want to make sure that you protect the surface of your welding table as much as possible. So we're going to go ahead and let this dry. Turn it over, hit it one more time on the bottom with a primer, and then we'll go ahead and start adding color. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and finish priming our little pumpkin here. What we want to do is make sure we pay attention to the areas that didn't get a lot of primer the first time. I've had a lot of success hanging things in the past, just from putting a hook in the ceiling and going and hanging them and painting them. Just a suggestion. Okay, we'll go ahead and start adding a little bit of color here. And my dogs don't really like the Amazon driver. Amazon driver's jamming out today. Okay, we'll let it sit. We'll put another coat on later. Okay, one last quick hit, and we'll let it dry overnight, and then I'll come back tomorrow and paint the stem. Okay, all we have left to do is paint the stem on this pumpkin now. My wife picked up this green paint the other day. Wasn't the color I would have chose, but supposedly there's a huge shortage of everything, including paint. I went to Walmart today and there was almost nothing on the shelf. So we're going to go ahead and use this color. To mask this off, I'm just going to use some masking paper here. We're just going to kind of fold it around the stem. Give it a few shots of paint. Okay, we'll let it dry for a little while. We'll come back and see what it looks like. Here's the finished product of the pumpkin. This project costs about $22. It doesn't take too long to make these. They make great gifts. I made a lot of this stuff and give them to my parents and in-laws and wife. They're not that expensive. Like I said, if you have horseshoes in your area, it'd be great to collect those up because they're a lot cheaper. You could probably build one for a few dollars instead. But this turned out pretty good, and we'll go ahead and set it right here next to my wife's decorations here and finish that off. If you like this project, consider subscribing, and also give us ideas of what you'd like to see. Any type of home improvements or making little crafts like this. This winter, there's a few different crafts that I also make out of horseshoes. So consider subscribing and stay tuned for those. Thanks.